hello. We're at Melanie Ferris's verdict at trial. They finally came a verdict. It's been a couple of days. First they came, it was going to be a hung jury. They went back for a couple of hours. They came back, and now they say they have a verdict. Now this is her husband's murder trial. He was murdered in his own house and then thrown in a burn pit. Now this man was a big man. I think she's a smaller woman, like 5'3", 5'5", very petite, older woman. He was an older man too, but I believe he was like 6'2" or 3", and about 300 pounds. But they're on a farm. They have, the forklifts, all these other trucks that, they use for farming. So there's ways. And they hated each other. She hated him more than he hated her, because he tried to keep the marriage going. I think they were married for like 35 years. She cheated on him twice. 2 full affairs. One with like a cousin, distant cousin or something. And one with like her family member's ex. That they were together for like 20 years. And he found out. And he still tried to take her back. And still try to make it work. I don't get it. I don't get it. My husband would never. I would never. But, to each his own. So he knew about these. And, there was a lot of different things. The family's kind of a mess. Everybody's asking dad for money, borrowing money, this, and the other. So she's blaming it on her kids. Mostly one of the boys. Then she's trying to blame it kind of on either or boys. 3 of the kids are against her, or think she might have had something to do with it, because that's what the cops are telling her. We got this evidence. It shows that your mother, was involved. There was blood found in the house. She had a candle lit, like, going down the stairs. There was bleach. She bought a bunch of products. What else? There was something else. A bullet found, too, that they had no idea. Her aunts, that she was helping out because it was an older woman, the gun was missing. So there's a lot of things pointing to her. And never mind, she kind of told her side piece on the phone while she was in jail. The calls being recorded. Either she was in jail or he was recording some calls. The trial is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's hear the verdict. I think she's guilty. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I think she is guilty. She keeps looking right at that camera.
All right, I understand we have a verdict. I know we have lots of folks that are interested in the outcome of this case here. I've also heard at least 6 Amber Alerts while I was in the
She bugs me out looking at that camera a lot.
If that happens, I'll just ignore it and pretend I didn't hear it. I want everyone to just understand that the jury's been working diligently on this case for the last 4 weeks of trial and for the last several days of deliberation.
4 weeks of trial.
I don't want any outbursts one way or the other. If you don't think you'll be able to restrain yourself one way or the other, then you need to step out. All right, anything else we need to take up before we...
Which, that is a hard thing. I get it, you're not supposed to make things, but that is a really hard thing. Either guilty or not guilty, and just hold it all in. Ooh, I'm probably gonna wait in the hallway.
The jurors in.
Just saying.
All right, we have our 2 alternates. All right. All right, go ahead and bring them. Well, we have 4, but only two are coming.
Let's see. She never stands up. The lawyers explained that. I guess you don't have to. I thought they always had to. And she's never really showed any emotions through the whole trial.
Michael, did you notice? I couldn't even get out of my mouth, and you said it before I did. First thing I noticed when they all stood up for the very first time, Melody Ferris stood up for the jury to come in the courtroom.
Yeah, she hadn't been doing it. That was the word from our own Matt Johnson, who had been in the courtroom. He did explain.
No, she did not. No, she didn't.
That it wasn't the most formal courtroom, and we've certainly seen that from the judge, not the most formal judge we've ever seen. But we both felt like it was not a good idea to stand, even though maybe it was okay. And the attorney explained it, saying that in his mind, he told her not to stand because we're all peers. And so it was an interesting decision by him.
That is, but I will tell you, it's now been clarified in my ear. When we're going live, I made an assumption they were standing for the jury. They were not. They were standing for the judge. So she does stand for the judge. That's what we just witnessed. Now we're waiting on the jury to come in. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for correcting me. And as we're waiting...
Yes, because you can see everybody behind them still standing up, waiting for the jury to come in. So she only stood real quick for the judge this one time. I don't even know if she's done it the other times. I'm not 100% sure on the other times. But she never stands for the jury. Like I said, I guess they don't have to. I never knew that.
For the jury to come in. Now we could see the hands of those standing behind her, and she's not standing. And I thought when the defense attorney said, it's a jury of her peers, we want to be on the same level, that's why she doesn't stand. I don't know if that's going to strike well with people or not. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This jury's been deliberating on day 4 now, looking at the evidence, listening to these calls we've been sharing, Michael. And as a result of all this, we simply are waiting to hear what the verdict is.
Yeah, my understanding is, and like you said, I see people standing behind us, so they must be coming in now, this jury of 12.
Right.
They were waiting for alternates. They have shown.
Let me fast forward a little bit. There we go. Here we go. She looks right into that camera all the time.
All right. You'll hand that back to the foreman. All right, sir, as foreman, I'm going to have you stand and publish your verdict. You can do that just by saying, "We, the jury," and then to each count, say, "We find the defendant guilty or not guilty," as to each count.
All right. We, the jury, as the count of count 5, we find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 4, find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 3, we find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, as to count 2, find the defendant guilty. And we, the jury, as to count 1, find the defendant guilty.
All right, we'll hand it back to the bailiff.
Wow.
Madam Bailiff, would you show it to counsel?
Wow. No emotion. No emotion. You know she's gonna be mad at her side, but she's gonna be blaming him the whole time. Watch.
All right, anything y'all want to take up?
Wait until we get some phone calls from jail.
We'd ask you to poll.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the defense has asked that you be polled. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We're going to run through each one of you.
Finally, something.
If you still remember your original jury number, if you don't, we'll give you some prompting. But if you'll stand up, we will then I'll ask you a series of questions, and then I'll move to the next juror. After you see me do it twice, you'll understand what we're doing. All right, so Mr. Bailiff, Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the juror.
Number 3.
All right, ma'am, is that your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can be seated.
Number 7.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next.
Number 14.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, what?
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes.
All right, you may
Wow.
be seated.
Number 28.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
I want to see the
Was the
family.
verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes. Number 40.
Look at her, look at her.
Ask me.
Mine as well, right? Mine as well.
All right. Sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
is that still your verdict?
Why'd
Yes,
you
Your Honor.
do it? Why'd you do it?
Number 41.
Ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes.
She should
All
have
right,
just
next.
got
Number
divorced.
48.
That's what you should have did.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury
All
room?
for the money.
Was
All
the
for
verdict
money.
agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, you can be seated.
Number 50.
All right, ma'am, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, sir.
All right, next.
Number 60.
Ferris guilty of felony murder.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury
Let
room?
me see.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may be seated.
Number 65.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Aggravated
Is the verdict agreed to
assault
by
with
you?
Deadly
And
weapon.
is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may be
She
seated.
threw him in a
Number
burnt
71.
pile.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Let's pause this real quick. They all say yes, that's their verdict. She threw him in a burnt pile. She shot him, somehow got him out of the house, and got him in. I guess they used to burn a lot of stuff outside, or the dad did, the husband did. And she threw him into the burn pile. They couldn't even recognize him to see, he died from this, or this is what happened. It was unrecognizable. Unrecognizable. It was that bad. It was that bad.
Yes, sir.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes, sir.
And is that still your verdict?
Yes, sir. Number 79.
Concealing.
All right, sir, was that your verdict in the
That's
jury
another
room?
one.
Yes.
Was the verdict agreed to by you?
Yes.
And is it still your
Concealing
verdict?
the death of
It is.
All
another.
right, you may be seated. That's all of our jurors.
That's all the
All right,
jurors.
anything else?
That's all, Judge.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that ends your service in this case. I want to thank you for your service. You are now free to go about your day and your lives
Are
and
they
look
gonna
up
show
anything
the
you want to about
family
the
or
case.
what? Let me
Talk
see
to
the
anyone
family.
about the case or not, as you choose. That is completely up to you and how you want to handle that. There are the media folks have reached out and want to talk to you.
Yeah.
The way we're going to do that is I have some packets of information from them that I'm going to give you in just a moment.
I want to see if we
Free
see
to
the
stay
family. Do we
It's
see the
completely
family
up
at
to
all?
you. Yeah, and if the alternates, y'all can step out. I'm going to give y'all that same information. So if y'all step out with the bailiff, y'all can come through. They're going to want you to walk around.
Do we see the family? Let me see if we see the family. Now she's shaking. Now you can tell she's kind of shaking. Probably just it could be shock too. She's
All
been
right, y'all
on
want to
bail
schedule
all this
sentencing?
time.
Judge, let's go ahead and schedule it for sooner rather than later.
All right.
Due to,
All that hate in your heart. All that hate in your heart. Instead of just leaving.
We
She
can
looking
shoot for
deadpan at
first
the
week of
camera.
December. First, second week of December. I'll talk with Tracy.
Got
I
that
have
evil
jury
look.
trials
She sure
scheduled the
does.
week before Thanksgiving.
Girl, don't look at me.
We might can do. I know I have a conference the first full week of December.
I want to see
So
the family.
second-
See if we see the.
National
I'll keep her here for a little bit so that the attorneys can talk to her if they need to.
I don't see the family.
Sentencing would be
Where's the family?
all right. All right, y'all can take her in the back. If y'all need a chance to talk to her,
1040.
y'all keep her here for a little bit so that the attorneys can talk to her if they need to.
What's the other side of the family?
Still with us, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice and national trial attorney Michael Jafer. Michael, let me start with you. I'm surprised. Again, I'm surprised it's guilty across the board, but that's because I felt like Scott, equal reasonable doubt for me in my mind. And I know, Michael, you've been pretty vocal about.
Listen to these people. Listen to these people. Not once do they bring up the victim. Not once do they bring up what happened to the victim. No, I don't think it was her. Because she's so small. All that hate in her heart made her do what she did.
The same. What do you think now?
I'm stunned. In the prior block, Jack Rice said that he's puzzled to see how they went from being hung and so quickly having a verdict, and now they actually have a unanimous verdict. I think I'm really riveted for somebody to study this jury and pull them and interview them. So how, in that jury room, how did you guys get from being hung to being unanimous? And how, again, what weighed more for you?
Because I think after they were hung, I think personally, who am I? I don't know. That there was more guilty people than not guilty. And when the judge tells them to hung jury, they give them the Allen Helen something. To go back, and try to do the best you guys can do. Bada, bada, bada. They had to be more guilty than not guilty. That's the only way I see it. And the call did not help at all. At all. Never mind what she did to this man. Throughout their whole marriage. And then
You guys, was it the phone calls or was it the fact that it's an impossibility
the phone
to
calls.
physically murder a 300-pound, 6'5"
No, it ain't.
deadweight human being and move them from the basement? There was blood stains on the basement steps that
Ta-da!
were wiped out. That was part of the prosecution's case. How did somebody do that when they're 120 pounds with scoliosis in their back that can barely move even their own body weight? I'm 200 pounds. I can't even bench 250 pounds.
This lady been working on the farm. They've been working on the farm and chicken and horses and I think it was chicken, horses. There was something else. So she's been up and down that farm, corralling the horses, bringing them in, this and that. She is a strong woman. Even her son said she's a strong woman. And mind you, they had farming tools at the house. We gotta listen to the closing arguments from prosecution.
Right? And even my own body weight, right? How
Yeah.
he need to use his imagination. He just looked at human tragedies of people he probably knew. You're looking at this woman in a courtroom. She's in the same courtroom as her children. Two of them look just like her, and she blamed them for the murder of their father, her husband.
She
and
did.
They blamed her for the murder of their father, her husband.
They did.
And they're in the courtroom together, and this is a human tragedy of epic proportions, but it happens all the time. And we have the privilege of knowing about it. I'm completely aghast. I don't know.
He's
I want to know.
aghast.
Smart.
He's a gas. He don't know. He don't know. All right, let's go. He's a gas. All right, gas.
Better minds than me will one day tell me and will teach me. I don't think I have the intellect necessary to answer this riddle. It's a riddle for me, maybe for somebody else it's not.
It was really an incredible moment. The drama of waiting.